New York City was wrapped in a thick, damp fog, the kind that made the neon lights of Times Square blur into ghostly streaks. Detective Ryan Matthews sat alone in his office on the 27th floor of a rundown building in Midtown, the faint hum of the city below barely reaching him through the thick glass. He had grown accustomed to the constant noise, sirens wailing, subways rumbling beneath the streets, the occasional shout from the alleyways, but tonight, the city seemed unnervingly silent, as if holding its breath. Suddenly, the phone rang. Its sharp, insistent tone cut through the quiet, making Ryan flinch. His hand trembled slightly as he picked up the receiver. "Ryan," whispered a voice, fragile and strained, almost like it was coming from another world. "I need your help." Ryan froze. His mind raced. The voice was unmistakable. Olivia Bennett, a journalist who had vanished 10 years ago while investigating corruption among New York's elite, the case that had haunted the city for months. Her disappearance had gone cold, her body never found, and now, after a decade, she was calling him Olivia. He breathed, the word barely escaping his lips. "That's impossible. You're dead." "I know," came the soft reply, tinged with urgency. "But this isn't about that. I've left you clues. This first call is just the beginning." Then the line went dead. Ryan remained frozen, heart hammering in his chest, staring at the silent phone. A cold shiver ran down his spine, crawling up his neck. The office, filled with stacks of old case files and dusty reports, felt suddenly claustrophobic. Shadows seemed to move at the edges of his vision. The hum of the air conditioner now a menacing drone. He opened the old files on Olivia's disappearance, flipping through faded police reports, scribbled notes, and photographs. Each page he turned deepened the unease gnawing at his mind. Something about the way the case had ended so abruptly, without resolution, now seemed intentional. And this phone call suggested she had been leaving a trail for him all along, a trail meant to be followed now, a decade later. Then the phone rang again. A chill ran through him. The tone was different this time, distorted, mechanical almost, as if someone had deliberately altered the line. He lifted the receiver, and a single, chilling laugh echoed in his ear. A laugh that made his blood run cold. "Meet me at the Brooklyn waterfront. Midnight? Alone." The line went dead before he could respond. Ryan sat back, breathing hard, staring at the glowing red light on the phone. Outside, the city pulsed with indifferent life, oblivious to the danger creeping through its streets. His gut told him that this was no ordinary case, no simple message from the past. Someone who knew every move he might make was orchestrating this. As if on cue, the wind gusted through the slightly open window, scattering papers across his desk. Among the mess lay an envelope he didn't recognize. The handwriting was familiar. Olivia's. Inside was a single photograph of her at the very spot she had asked him to meet. But in the shadows behind her stood a figure he did not recognize, watching. Ryan felt his pulse spike. The game had begun. And one thing was certain, nothing would ever be the same again. The Brooklyn waterfront was silent, shrouded in mist that rose from the East River like a living thing. Ryan Matthews parked his car at the edge of a cracked asphalt lot, the fog swallowing the dim glow of the streetlights. He checked his watch. Midnight exactly. The city behind him seemed asleep, but every instinct screamed that danger lurked nearby. His hand hovered over his service pistol as he walked toward the pier, the creak of the wooden boards beneath his boots echoing in the fog. He remembered Olivia's voice from the previous night, fragile but commanding, guiding him into this unknown. Whoever she had become, or whoever had called him, knew exactly how to draw him out. Ryan reached a rusted shipping container that seemed abandoned for decades. He crouched, brushing off layers of grime, and found a small metal lockbox hidden under the shadows. The lock was numerical, and instinctively, he tried the combination 3742, a random sequence he had remembered from one of Olivia's old notebooks, tucked away in his desk years ago. The lock clicked open. Inside were folders of documents, yellowed and folded, full of names, dates, and financial transactions that hinted at a sprawling web of corruption, stretching from the mayor's office to private contractors who had skimmed millions from public projects. But it wasn't just the papers, it was the notes scribbled in the margins. Cryptic messages, initials, and locations that seemed meaningless at first glance. Ryan felt a pang in his chest. He realized Olivia hadn't disappeared by accident. She had been silenced because she had gotten too close to uncovering something enormous. And now, after 10 years, someone was forcing him to pick up where she had left off. He opened another folder and froze. There was a photograph of Olivia, smiling at the camera, taken only weeks before her disappearance. Behind her, barely visible, was a shadowy figure. His gut told him this was no ordinary bystander. This was the person who had been following her, the person who might still be watching him now. A sudden noise of metal clang from the end of the pier made Ryan spin. Fog obscured the figure, but he could sense movement. Someone was there, lurking just out of sight. His pulse quickened, adrenaline surging. He raised his gun cautiously. The wind shifted, carrying a whisper, almost like a voice calling his name. Then, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Good job finding the first clue. But you're not alone. Keep going, or you won't see the next sunrise." Ryan swallowed hard, the pistol still raised, and scanned the fog-shrouded pier. His mind raced. Who could be sending these messages? Was it Olivia herself or something more sinister? Someone manipulating both of them. The waterfront felt suddenly claustrophobic, the mist pressing in from all sides. And then, a shadow moved quickly across the pier, disappearing into the fog before he could react. Ryan realized with a sinking feeling that the game had just begun and the first clue had already led him straight into a trap. Ryan Matthews drove through the empty streets of Lower Manhattan, the glow of neon signs reflecting off wet asphalt. His mind replayed the events at the Brooklyn waterfront, the cold metal of the lockbox in his hands, the shadowy figure disappearing into the fog, and the chilling text warning him that he wasn't alone. Every instinct screamed danger, yet he felt a compulsive pull to follow the trail. Back in his small, cluttered apartment, Ryan spread the documents from the lockbox across his kitchen table. Faded photographs, spreadsheets, and handwritten notes formed a chaotic mosaic of corruption and deceit. But then he found something different, a folded piece of paper tucked in one of the files. The handwriting was unmistakable. Olivia Bennett, check the old news archives. The story we were chasing never ended. Look for the one who smiled while the city cried. Ryan shivered. The clue was cryptic, but he knew Olivia well enough to understand that this was intentional. She wanted him to dig deeper, to uncover the person who had hidden in plain sight for 10 years. He opened his laptop and accessed the digital archives of the New York Times, scrolling through old reports from the period just before Olivia's disappearance. A familiar name appeared repeatedly in the articles: Thomas Greer, a wealthy developer with political ties and a public image of philanthropy. Ryan's gut told him this man had secrets, and the pieces from the lockbox pointed directly to them. Suddenly, his phone rang. He froze. The caller ID was blocked. Hesitating for a fraction of a second, he answered Ryan. Olivia's voice was clearer this time. "Urgent. You're close. But be careful. Greer is watching. He's dangerous. You can't trust anyone around you, Olivia." How are you?" Ryan asked, voice cracking. "I can't explain now. Just trust the clues. Go to the apartment on 14th Street. There's something waiting for you there. And Ryan, don't look back." The line went dead, leaving Ryan staring at the phone in disbelief. His pulse hammered in his ears. Every instinct screamed that this could be a trap, yet he had no choice but to follow the trail. As he drove toward the East Village, shadows seemed to move along the streets, unnaturally synchronized with his own. A black SUV parked behind him on several blocks, then disappeared when he blinked. Ryan's anxiety rose. Someone was tracking him, but he couldn't turn back now. Arriving at the apartment building, He felt the weight of 10 years of unanswered questions pressing on him. The door to the apartment creaked ominously as he pushed it open. Inside, the room was empty except for a single envelope on the floor. He picked it up, hands trembling. Opening it, he found a single photograph. Olivia, smiling, holding a newspaper with today's date. Behind her, barely visible in the shadows, was a man Ryan didn't recognize watching him. A chill ran down his spine. The message was clear. He was being lured, manipulated. But by whom? Olivia Greer. Or someone even closer than he imagined. The sound of footsteps outside the apartment made him freeze. He reached for his gun, heart pounding. Someone was there, and whatever was about to happen next would change everything. The footsteps outside the apartment echoed like distant gunshots in Ryan Matthews' ears. He pressed his back against the wall, gun raised, every muscle taut, senses screaming at him to move, to strike, to run. But the apartment was empty. The envelope lay open on the floor. The photograph of Olivia smiling at him like a ghost haunting the present. Ryan's mind raced. Had someone followed him from the Brooklyn waterfront? Was it Greer's men? Or worse, someone he thought he could trust? He felt a cold, creeping certainty. The danger was closer than he imagined. Every shadow, every flicker of light seemed alive, conspiring against him. He remembered Olivia's warning from the phone, "Don't trust anyone around you." Those words replayed in his head like a mantra. He scanned the apartment with meticulous care. On a small bookshelf, a book lay slightly pulled out, as if someone had handled it recently. He reached for it. Inside, a note folded carefully. "The answers are in the surveillance tapes from the night I disappeared. Look closely, Ryan. Not everyone was who they seemed." His pulse quickened. Ryan knew those tapes had been part of the old police archive, a cold case that had long been forgotten. But why had Olivia left him this trail? And why now, 10 years later? Ryan left the apartment and drove through the dark streets of Manhattan, a storm of questions in his mind. Each red light seemed like a warning. Every shadow along the sidewalks felt sinister. He arrived at the precinct's cold storage, the room where old evidence and tapes were stored, dust and mildew filling the air. He powered up the VCR and inserted the tape labeled with Olivia's case number. Grainy black and white footage played across the small monitor. There she was, Olivia, walking down the street that fateful night. She paused, looking over her shoulder. Then a man in a long coat approached her. Ryan's stomach tightened. He had seen this figure before in the photograph at the East Village apartment. Watching him, the tape showed her struggle, the man's movements swift, almost predatory. But then something caught Ryan's eye, another figure, partially obscured, slipping away in the shadows unnoticed. A familiar gait. Someone close to Olivia. Someone he had never suspected. Ryan's hands trembled. A truth long buried was beginning to surface, a truth that could destroy everything he thought he knew. The room felt suddenly oppressive, the air thick, heavy with the ghosts of the past. A muffled sound behind him made him whip around. Empty hallway. Footsteps receded. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "They're closer than you think. Don't look away, Ryan, or it will be too late." The message was short, but it froze him in place. Someone was orchestrating this. Someone who had waited a decade for the right moment. And now Ryan realized with a sinking feeling that following Olivia's trail had led him straight into the web she had carefully spun, and one misstep could be fatal. The monitor flickered. The grainy images of Olivia and the shadowy figure staring back at him like a warning. Ryan understood with terrifying clarity that the past was not just a memory. It was alive, and it was hunting him. The streets of New York at 2 a.m. felt unreal, a distorted mirror of the city Ryan Matthews thought he knew. Mist curled between the skyscrapers, blending with the dim glow of streetlights, casting long, shifting shadows. Ryan gripped the steering wheel tightly, glancing at the envelope from Olivia once more. Inside had been a cryptic note. "There is someone who knows more than you think. Find them before it's too late." He drove to a nondescript apartment on the Lower East Side, the building worn, paint-peeling, stairwell dark and silent. Inside, the air smelled of damp concrete and old smoke. On a small table lay a photo album, heavy with dust. Ryan lifted it, carefully opening to a page near the middle. There she was, Olivia, smiling, holding a notebook filled with scribbles. Behind her, hidden partially in shadow, was a man he didn't recognize. And yet, something about the way the figure stood, the curve of the shoulders, the tilt of the head, made Ryan's stomach knot. This person wasn't just a stranger. They had been part of Olivia's life, someone she had trusted. Ryan rifled through the album, finding annotations, dates, and coded notes. Each page hinted at meetings, locations, names, an intricate map of deception. The figure in the photograph wasn't just observing. They were orchestrating, quietly guiding events from behind the scenes. Then Ryan's phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "You're getting close, Ryan, but they know you're here. They're watching. Don't trust anyone." The voice was familiar, chilling, like Olivia herself, yet distorted, as if filtered through some cruel device. Ryan's heart raced. He scanned the dim apartment, each shadow a potential threat. A window rattled slightly. Footsteps echoed faintly in the hall outside, deliberate, measured. He drew his gun, every nerve on edge. Suddenly, a man appeared at the doorway. Dressed in a tailored coat, face partially obscured by shadows, he raised his hand slowly. "Detective Matthews, I've been expecting you," the man said calmly. Ryan's mind screamed at him to act, but he froze. There was something unnervingly familiar about the way the man moved. The voice echoed faintly in his memory, a name from the past, a friend. "A foe? Who are you?" Ryan demanded, his gun unwavering. "Someone who can help you. Or end you?" The man stepped into the light, and Ryan's blood ran cold. It was Michael Grant, Olivia's former colleague, the one person Ryan had never suspected, the one who had vanished after her disappearance without explanation. Ryan's hands trembled, his thoughts spiraling. Could he trust Michael? Or had he been manipulated from the very beginning? Every clue, every warning from Olivia now pointed to a truth he wasn't ready to face. Before Ryan could react further, a shadow moved in the hallway behind Michael. A door slammed. The lights flickered. Ryan realized with a jolt he was not alone, and whoever or whatever was following him had just made its presence known. The game had escalated, and now every step Ryan took would decide not only the truth about Olivia, but whether he would live to see it. Ryan Matthews barely slept that night. His apartment in Chelsea felt different, smaller, suffocating, as though the shadows themselves had grown teeth overnight. Every creak of the radiator, every whisper of the wind through the cracked window made him flinch. Michael Grant's sudden appearance at the Lower East Side apartment replayed endlessly in his mind. Was Michael truly on his side, or was he just another pawn in a deadly game Olivia had left for him to navigate? His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Look in the mirror, Ryan," Olivia's distorted voice whispered. "You'll see what you're looking for. But be careful." Ryan's heart skipped. He hesitated, staring at the full-length mirror by the bedroom door. With shaking hands, he approached it. At first, there was only his reflection, pale, weary, haunted. Then the image shifted. Behind him, in the reflection, was Olivia, her expression urgent, almost pleading. She held a note in her hands, fluttering as if caught in a phantom breeze. The words were barely visible. "The key is closer than you think. Trust no one but yourself." Ryan spun around. Empty room, silence. Only the hum of the city outside reached him. His pulse raced. The room that had been familiar now felt like a trap, every object a potential threat. He sank into a chair, trying to breathe, trying to separate reality from the creeping paranoia. Had Olivia truly returned, or was he being manipulated by someone else using her memory? His eyes fell on the photograph Michael had left behind, the one with the shadowy figure in the East Village. The figure's stance, the slight tilt of the head, now seemed eerily familiar. A sudden tap on the window made him jump. Rain had begun to fall, streaking the glass. He approached cautiously. Nothing outside, yet the sense of being watched intensified. It was as if the city itself was holding its breath, waiting for him to make the wrong move. Ryan's phone buzzed once more. This time, it was a video. Hesitant, he pressed play. Grainy footage showed Michael walking behind Olivia on a dimly lit street, the same night she vanished. Then the camera angle shifted. Someone else, hidden in the shadows, observing them both. The final frame froze on a figure he could only describe as familiar. Someone from his own past, someone he had trusted without question. The truth hit him like ice water. The danger wasn't just out there in the streets or in Michael's unpredictable motives. It was personal. It had always been personal, and just as he turned from the mirror, he caught movement from the corner of his eye. A shadow, fast, darting across the room, disappearing before he could react. His instincts screamed someone was in his apartment. Someone who had been waiting for him to see the mirror, to understand, to follow. Ryan's breath came in ragged bursts. The whispers of the past, Olivia's voice, Michael's presence, they were all converging into a single, terrifying point. And in that moment, he realized the trap was no longer ahead of him. It was already inside the room. The warehouse on the outskirts of Brooklyn smelled of rust and decay, a relic of a forgotten industrial era. Ryan Matthews parked his car on the cracked asphalt and stared at the massive steel doors. This was where Olivia's final clue had led him, a place abandoned for years, now serving as a silent witness to secrets no one dared speak aloud. He pushed the doors open, the hinges screaming, and stepped inside. Darkness swallowed him immediately, broken only by shafts of moonlight streaming through shattered windows. The air was heavy, thick with dust, and the faint smell of oil and mildew. Every footstep echoed like a gunshot in the cavernous space. Inside, the warehouse was a labyrinth. Shipping crates, old machinery, and piles of discarded furniture created corridors and dead ends. Ryan's heart raced. He knew the path ahead was not just a physical maze but a psychological one. Every shadow could hide a threat, every echo a clue. He followed the trail of documents Olivia had left, finding stacks of papers pinned to walls with thumbtacks. They contained names, dates, addresses, and bank records, evidence of corruption that spanned decades. Ryan felt the weight of the past pressing down on him. Each document was a whisper from Olivia, guiding him, warning him, daring him to uncover the truth. Then he saw it, a small camera, pointed toward one of the hallways. He froze. Someone had been recording him. His pulse jumped. The trap was not behind him, it was ahead. As he navigated deeper, he found a hidden room, the door slightly ajar. Inside were old monitors displaying footage from various points around the city, Olivia's apartment, the Brooklyn waterfront, even Ryan himself, walking toward the warehouse. He realized with a chill that someone had been orchestrating this game for years, observing every move he had made. A note lay on the desk. If you're here, it means you're ready. The truth is closer than you think. But beware, trust can kill. Ryan's thoughts raced. Who could he trust? Michael, Olivia, or was the danger someone else entirely? Someone who had been manipulating events from the very beginning. Suddenly, a soft, deliberate footstep echoed from behind him. He spun, gun raised, and saw Michael Grant emerging from the shadows. You made it, Ryan, Michael said calmly. But there was an edge to his voice that sent a shiver down Ryan's spine. But you're not ready for what's coming. Ryan's mind struggled to process it all. The maze, the clues, the cameras, Michael's unexpected appearance, it was too much. And then he noticed movement on one of the monitors. A shadowy figure slipped through the warehouse, unseen by Michael but glaringly visible to the camera. Ryan realized, with a sinking certainty, that he had been lured into a trap carefully constructed over 10 years. And now, the final revelation, Olivia, the man in the shadows, Michael's true intentions, was about to unfold. The echo of footsteps grew closer. Ryan's heart hammered. Someone or something was in the warehouse with him. And this time, the past wasn't just whispering. It was ready to strike. Rain pelted the broken windows of the Brooklyn warehouse as Ryan Matthews moved cautiously through the maze of crates and machinery. Every step echoed like a gunshot. The shadows seemed alive, stretching and twisting as though mocking him. He could feel the weight of 10 years of unanswered questions pressing down on his shoulders. Heavier than the pistol in his hand, the monitors Michael had shown him flickered, showing every move he made. Ryan realized the magnitude of what Olivia had left behind. This wasn't just a trail of clues. It was a meticulously planned puzzle, a gauntlet designed to test him, to break him, to push him to the edge. Suddenly, the sound of metal scraping against metal made him spin. A figure darted across the far end of the warehouse. Ryan raised his gun, finger trembling on the trigger. The figure stopped, shrouded in mist, and for a moment, he swore it was Olivia, but the posture, the way they held themselves, was different. Ryan, a voice echoed, distorted, from somewhere behind the crates. You're running out of time. He ducked behind a stack of crates, scanning every shadow. His mind raced. Each step, each breath, could trigger something deadly. The cameras, the recordings, the notes, they had led him here for a reason. And now he understood. This was a confrontation, not just with a person, but with the past itself. Michael stepped into view, eyes cold, calculating. You've done well to get this far, he said, but the game ends here. The truth isn't what you think. Ryan's heart pounded. His instincts screamed that Michael was lying, that someone else, someone hidden, was controlling the situation. And then he saw movement in the corner of his eye, a shadow separating from the darkness. Approaching silently. It was the figure from the monitors, stepping into the moonlight filtering through the shattered windows. Ryan raised his gun, but the figure didn't stop. A sudden, familiar laugh echoed through the warehouse, sending chills down his spine. Olivia, he whispered, disbelief and fear mingling in his voice. The figure paused, then turned, revealing a face he thought he'd never see again. But it wasn't Olivia. The resemblance was eerie, the expression identical, the same eyes, but there was something off, almost mechanical in the way she moved. Ryan's mind raced. Who or what was this? Michael's calm demeanor now seemed sinister, as though he had been waiting for this moment all along. And then a low, metallic click sounded behind Ryan. He spun to late. A trapdoor swung open beneath him, plunging him into darkness. The last thing he heard before hitting the cold concrete below was Michael's voice, cold and triumphant. Welcome to the next stage, Ryan. The real game begins now. Ryan hit the ground hard, pain exploding in his chest. In the blackness, he could hear whispers, echoes of Olivia's voice, and the shadowy figure moving above. The warehouse was no longer just a maze of crates and corridors. It was a prison, a test, and a warning. And in that darkness, Ryan realized one terrifying truth. He had stepped fully into Olivia's world, and there was no turning back. Ryan Matthews struggled to his feet in the pitch-black pit beneath the warehouse. His body ached, muscles burned, and a sharp pain radiated through his ribs from the fall. The faint drip of water echoed in the darkness, each drop a metronome to his racing heart. He fumbled for his phone, only to find it had been knocked out of his pocket. Panic surged, raw and primal. He could hear them above the shadowy figure, moving with unnerving precision, and Michael's voice, calm and cruel. You've been very obedient, Ryan, but now you have to choose. A dim light flickered from above, casting long, distorted shadows across the walls of the pit. Ryan squinted. At first, he saw nothing, just the jagged walls. Then, the figure stepped into the light. Olivia, or someone who looked exactly like her. But the way they moved, the calculated precision, made Ryan's stomach twist. It wasn't her. It couldn't be. Michael's voice echoed again. Every clue, every step, every decision. It's been orchestrated. Olivia wasn't just a victim, she was part of this game. And now so are you. Ryan's mind raced, trying to connect dots formed over 10 years. Olivia's disappearance, the notes, the cryptic instructions, the surveillance tapes. It was never about exposing corruption in the city. It was about control, manipulation, and testing someone willing to chase the truth at any cost. He scanned the shadows for an escape, any advantage. The pit was small, enclosed, designed for containment, not confrontation. And then he noticed something, a narrow ledge running along one side. Risking a misstep, he climbed, every muscle screaming. He could feel the presence above him, close, watching, breathing down his neck. Suddenly, the shadowy figure dropped from above, landing with a soft thud. Ryan fired instinctively, the gun's crack echoing in the confined space. The figure twisted away, vanishing into darkness, leaving only a metallic glint behind, keys or a device of some kind. Heart hammering, Ryan grabbed it. A second later, Michael's face appeared above the pit. Eyes cold, calculating, clever. But cleverness alone won't save you. The final choice awaits at Pier 9, midnight. He disappeared, leaving Ryan in darkness, the rain from above seeping through cracks, chilling him to the bone. Ryan took a deep breath, realizing the scale of what awaited him. The past 10 years, the disappearances, the manipulations, it all led here to a confrontation at the pier. And he knew, instinctively, the final revelation would change everything he thought he knew about Olivia, Michael, and the game that had consumed his life. He climbed from the pit, soaked, battered, but resolved. Every step toward Pier 9 was heavy with anticipation. The shadows of the past were closing in, and Ryan knew the ultimate test was waiting. The city outside was indifferent, unaware of the storm about to break on its waterfront. And in the back of Ryan's mind, one chilling thought persisted. The person orchestrating this had been closer than he could imagine all along. Midnight at Pier 9. The rain had stopped, leaving the docks slick with water that reflected the dim glow of distant city lights. Ryan Matthews approached cautiously, every muscle taut, senses sharpened to their limit. He had survived the warehouse trap, uncovered Olivia's clues, and dodged the shadows that had haunted him for 10 years. But nothing could have prepared him for what awaited. Michael Grant emerged from the mist, calm as ever, but his eyes glimmered with an unreadable intent. Beside him stood the figure Ryan had been chasing for months, the woman who looked exactly like Olivia. "You've come far, Ryan," Michael said smoothly. "But it's time to see the truth." Ryan's mind raced. The woman stepped forward, rainwater dripping from her hair. Ryan froze as recognition struck him. "Olivia," he whispered, hope and dread colliding. She smiled, but it was not the warm smile he remembered. It was cold, calculating. "I'm sorry, Ryan," she said softly, "but I never disappeared. I needed to disappear to see who I could trust, and to watch what people would do for the truth." Ryan staggered back, disbelief overtaking him. All these years, the notes, the clues, the shadows, they had been her test. The corruption, the danger, the trap in the warehouse. Ryan's voice shook. "A necessary game," Olivia replied. "I had to be certain you were the one who could face the truth and survive it." Michael stepped forward, placing a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "And now, Ryan, you know everything. The corruption runs deep, but you've proven yourself worthy. The city needs people like you. But remember, trust is rare, even among friends." Ryan's mind reeled. The man he had suspected, the figure in the shadows, the puzzles, they had all been orchestrated by Olivia herself, with Michael as her silent partner. Every fear, every trap had been a test of his resolve and morality. So, it was all a game? Ryan asked, numb with disbelief. "Not a game," Olivia corrected. "A revelation. The city hides in darkness, Ryan. You've seen it, walked through it, survived it. Now you understand what it takes to fight it." Before Ryan could respond, she stepped back into the fog, vanishing as silently as she had appeared. Michael lingered, giving Ryan a final look, a mixture of respect and warning. "Remember, Ryan," he said, voice low, "the past is never truly gone. It's only waiting for someone brave enough to confront it." As the fog swallowed them both, Ryan stood alone on the slick pier. The city stretched before him, indifferent yet alive. The truth was unveiled, but at a cost. The shadows of the past would always remain, whispering, guiding, testing. And in that moment, Ryan realized the most chilling revelation of all. The person you trust the most can be both your guide and your greatest mystery. The wind off the East River carried a whisper, very audible. The game is never truly over, Ryan shivered, knowing she was right. The phone in his pocket buzzed one last time. Unknown number. He stared at it. A smile flickered across his face, a mix of dread and determination. He answered. Silence. Then a faint, familiar voice. Ryan. Ready for the next step. And the line went dead. The game had only just begun.